From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Dylan, the Tennessee pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. Welcome back to our weekly listener mail program. Folks, if you are tuning in the evening this publishes, we proudly join you on Thursday, November 6th, just a day after Guy Fawkes Day. Remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder treason and plot. We see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot.
Yeah, but I forgot it. It was yesterday. Dang it.
Right. We're recording this on November 4th. So,
what? Where am I? What is this?
Well,
am I trapped in this thing?
Well, I hope not.
I've got an issue for all our fellow conspiracy realists right now as we've returned from the high seas, as we're exploring so many strange and bizarre allegations of things. Guys, I've got a lot of roots, but I don't have any begas. Tennessee, can you help us out? We got the roots. We need some begas.
Yeah, actually, this one's a little different. Do you remember when DVDs had trailers at the beginning?
Yes, sir,
yeah.
I do.
Like that you had to watch and there was nothing you could do about it?
Yeah, so that I kind of find myself in that situation this weekend. I was going through some old ones, and I found my copy of Monkey Bone with Brendan Fraser. And I saw this trailer, and I just ripped the audio because it sounds familiar, and I wanted to see if you remember it.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'll play your reindeer games.
In a world obsessed with legumes,
Wow, I can't get enough of these chickpeas.
one hacker is brave enough to eat root vegetables.
Whoa! Downloading 3 megabytes of rutabagas now.
And he's about to dig up a conspiracy that will shock the world.
The president has been compromised, and he's going to destroy all the beans.
And only he can stop it from happening.
Whoa, I'm in the mainframe.
But he's gonna have to learn to love cyber legumes along the way.
I cannot download another lima bean right now.
Gibson Centauri is Rutabaga Man in Legume Breach, the new thriller by director Don Parmesan. Coming to theaters never, because this concept makes 0 sense.
Poetry. Step aside, Shakespeare. Thank you so much, Tennessee. Thank you to everybody who tunes in to our weekly listener mail, if only for our rutabaga updates. It is our favorite part of this program. We are not going to stop. It is part of our blood covenant with our corporate overlords. We are going to hear a lot of listener mail because there was some stuff there was some stuff we needed to follow up on from our time abroad. So let's say we take a break for a word from our sponsors and we get right into some stuff starting with the FDA.
And we have returned with the aforementioned communication regarding the Food and Drug Administration. Food and Drug Administration communication coming to us from Sarahwasme. Hi, guys. Big fan of your show and also a fan of ProPublica journalism. Us too, Sarah, was me. A pair of recent articles about the FDA's systematic lack of transparency in prescription drug manufacturing caught my eye, and I wanted to share the links with you. I don't know if it counts as a conspiracy so much as legal CYA policy. That means cover your ass. I know, highly technical legal jargon here. But appropriate. But I think this quote from the article linked below is pretty telling. I think we would agree. Here it goes. They didn't want you to do anything that would make the industry mad. It was not, what do we need to do for public health? It was, what do we need to do to keep the FDA out of court? That took precedence. This is the link to the big article. Anyone out there in conspiracy land that wants to check it out, do go to ProPublica.org. And the article is entitled, "Is Your Medication Made in a Contaminated Factory? The FDA Won't Tell You," by Debbie Senziper and Megan Rose. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of the highlights that they drop at the beginning of their articles in very helpful fashion. Just to finish the letter, excuse me. There's a second shorter companion piece on the steps ProPublica reporters took trying to investigate the manufacturing source of a commonly prescribed generic cholesterol drug. I believe that is Lipitor. The research path is interesting to me just from a process point of view. And you can find that article as well by searching for "Here's What Happened When ProPublica Reporters Tried to Find Out Where a Popular Prescription Drug Was Made." Whew, that's the headline. And this is, I was mistaken. They're talking about the another blockbuster drug. Lipitor is mentioned in the larger investigation that we're about to get into, but this one is about atorvastatin, a generic drug that is for high cholesterol, manufactured by Qualant. So let's jump right into some highlights from the larger piece. Huge thanks to you, Sarahwasme, for turning us on to this. I read it a handful of times, and it is just absolutely just deep. It goes deep and really is about some stuff that they don't want us to know. 100%. So huge thanks for turning us on to this article. I'm going to jump right into some highlights. Hidden drug names. For decades, the FDA has blacked out the names of generic drugs on inspection reports for foreign factories that were found to have safety and quality violations.
So that's really weird to me. This is the concept that the FDA has inspected these factories in foreign countries, and they've found that there are major problems in the factories, but then they're saying they hide the names of the generic drugs that are made there on purpose?
Redacted. That's right. Patients in the dark. The practice has prevented patients, doctors, and pharmacists from knowing whether manufacturing failures have made medications that they are prescribing and using ineffective or unsafe. Consumers are limited in what they can learn about the quality of their drugs because labels on pill bottles often don't list the manufacturer or the factory's address. The big takeaway here is that an Indian factory, as one part of the investigation, was found to have been infested by pigeons in a storage room that had defecated on boxes of supposedly sterile equipment. In another site of inspection, pathogens contaminated purified water that was used in the manufacturing of drugs. And in a third site, stagnant urine had pooled on a bathroom floor not far at all from where injectable medications were made. So the FDA did run these inspections. They did release the grim reports around these facilities, which is why ProPublica knows about them. But they blacked out the names of the drugs produced at these facilities because they routinely do this, keeping this information a secret from the public because they make the argument, or rather their lawyers make the argument, that this could potentially cause them to run afoul of drug manufacturers who could consider this revolving around trade secrets.
This is so weird to me.
It's really wild. It reminds me of exposés like about the meatpacking industry, like the jungle and all this stuff, just to hear. And I know there's only a handful of these factories or these facilities listed. I'm sure the entirety of pharmaceutical manufacturing isn't infested with pigeons and rat feces, but the fact that they block these out and they aren't required to legally is an overly cautious interpretation of a law that requires the government to protect trade secrets. It seems like the FDA's mission is to protect the public, from harmful contaminants. And also, a lot of these problems could lead to less effective versions of drugs. Another thing that the piece points out is that when you or I, any of us, go and get a prescription refilled, it is up to the discretion of the pharmacy as to which generic you get. I recently switched pharmacies. I have for many years taken a daily medication for a thyroid thing, and I recently switched pharmacies, and the new ones that I got from there, completely different shape. They look completely different. So absolutely a different generic. And then, Publix versus Kroger or what have you. But who knows if one of those two generics was produced in one of these factories? I don't, because I have no way of finding out because it's blacked out.
So, okay. So in listening to that list of problems that are at these factories, do we know if anybody has actually been harmed at all by any of these generics? Like, is there something to measure?
We can't know because we don't know where they came from. They won't tell us. There isn't anything mentioned here specifically about, direct harmful effects of this. But I think that's the problem there, is that we don't know. And there's I believe a pharmacist that is referenced in this piece who really tried to kind of connect the dots in the metadata, and even her with all of her, knowledge of the industry and the inner workings of pharmacy was not able to figure it out. Dr. Janet Woodcock, who's the head of drug safety at the FDA, said to ProPublica that she favors releasing drug names, but also said it probably wouldn't be that useful to members of the public. And it's a little condescending here. Maybe I'm not saying she's wrong, but she said, you guys think you're all like citizen scientists and you can figure out what this means. And it's just not the case. Woodcock, who spent nearly 4 decades at the FDA before retiring early last year. So the piece goes on to say, even if the FDA opted to disclose the drug names in its reports, there's still significant hurdle that can prevent patients from knowing if their medicine was made in a deficient factory, because labels on pill bottles often don't list the names of the manufacturer or include a factory address. I think that's a good place to leave it. Ben, I'd love to hear what you think about this. It's really, we talked recently about meat packing and a lot of these, so actually on Ridiculous History, we did an episode on the radium era and how that material was just absolutely, used in all kinds of things. And it led to the creation of OSHA and workplace oversight and, people getting contaminated. This to me almost feels like a throwback to those days.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarahwasme, for supporting our show and for contacting us with a story that I agree needs to be more in the public sphere. Big shout out to the sources that you provided us, specifically the journalist Debbie Sinisper and Megan Rose. I agree this feels like a possible episode in the future, and especially, the one thing that I think we all clocked here, Sarahwasme, was the, as Noel mentioned, the slightly condescending quote, perhaps out of context, by Woodcock. Oh, civilian scientists somehow don't deserve to know, or it wouldn't do them any good to know. Transparency in the FDA is, to steal a line from Fox News, important now more than ever.
There's this quote in here in the article. It says, in interviews, several former FDA officials now say they support releasing the drug names, but this person, Woodcock, and others said they did not question the redactions while they held positions of power at the agency.
And right, the revolving door.
That's right.
Doesn't that tell you? Exactly.
It does tell you a lot.
Yeah. I also want to shout out here, Sarahwasme, from your excellent correspondence, which set us on quite a rabbit hole. I want to shout out the Hypertrophic Cardiomyopathy Association, because they have a line from one of their reps, Lisa Solberg, who sums it up very well in ProPublica. Fellow conspiracy realist, hear this well. Quote, says Lisa, we've made this almost impossible for consumers to be their own best advocate. We want our food labels to tell us exactly how much carbohydrates are in them, but the things we are taking to combat diseases, we literally know nothing about. It reminds me of the rule where over-the-counter or OTC medication just has to technically include the active ingredient. Tut, tut, tut.
Dude, there's a thing in here about how Switzerland at one point wanted to get a hold of inspection reports that the FDA had made on these generic factories. But the FDA said, oh no, we can't do that. We cannot release complete inspection reports even to other governments, like even to other allies. Why? And this concept is not about safety at all. It's about making the drug manufacturers, the industry itself, making them angry with the FDA, which could then lead to lawsuits. So it's all about keeping the manufacturers and the money happy in all of these things. God, that's so crazy. Even Switzerland is just like, hey, can we just see the inspection reports? And the FDA says, no.
Yeah, no, you're right on the money, Ben. It's definitely worth a deeper dive exploration. And there's other things that we could, compare this to throughout history for sure. So huge thanks to you, Sarahwasme, for this correspondence. I think we're going to pause here, take a word from our sponsor, and then come back with more messages from you.
And we have returned. I think we earlier shouted out longtime conspiracy realist Jay, who wrote to us about the Tatum Salt Dome. And Jay, we got, or Jaquiramafan. Remember how we had such a time pronouncing that name?
Oh, yes.
What'd we do? We did.
Which conference does he play for?
I love it. You're right. Is that a Key and Peele reference?
Of course.
Oh, my guy. All right. So, Jay, just a quick shout out to you. Partway through researching a response to your question about Tatum Salt Dome, we did find the episode we did on nuclear testing in Mississippi, and it just reminded us how long we have been at this strange enterprise. So thank you, everybody. Do check out the episode. It stands to be worth your time. Guys, I wanted to open this part of our weekly listener mail with that mea culpa to Jay, and also with a great message we got from a longtime fellow listener over in what I imagine to be New Zealand, but we won't compromise Tom. Tom, you wrote to us on Instagram and said, just listen to your Skunk Works episode. Have you all ever wondered if part of why we haven't gotten UFO disclosure yet is because it's all outsourced to Lockheed and therefore not something that can be FOIA'd? Governments might not be lying when they say they don't know. Maybe they don't, but the skunks do. What do you guys think about that? Just to open the conversation here, what do we think about the possibility that private defense contractors may know more than actual government agencies?
What was the term you guys threw around the other day? Sock puppets?
Yes.
Doesn't that apply here? Where you literally have like private industry wielding more control than actual government officials?
I like that, Noel. I think that's a great point. It's something to chew on, too, because to be honest with you, Tom, we're not sure of the answer. It's such a broad question that would really, for us to answer it, we really need to scope in specifically on things that would be called compartmentalized access, right? So it's quite possible there is some boffin at Northrop Grumman who knows everything about 0-point energy and still gets a paycheck, and people in Congress don't know anything other than we give this company X amount of dollars per annum.
Yeah, that's to me the big question. How much information is shared once that transaction begins, right? And that grant money or that whatever that seed money is that the government gives out when they give a contract. Do they get all information back, and is that stored in a database somewhere, or is that just a couple of people who are installed, appointed maybe in levels of government that are not public?
Right. Yeah. Where is the transparency? That's why we have a thematic thread running here.
Oh man, this is reminding me of a message we got from somebody else who I think they said they worked for Skunk Works.
Ah, yes. Well, let's do it live. Our pal, longtime conspiracy realist going by M, says, hey, all, I felt compelled to message you after your last podcast. I currently work for Boeing, and I worked the previous 9 years at LM, Lockheed Martin, 3 of which were in Skunk Works. I first heard about your podcast from your book's incessant ads on your friends Chuck and Josh's show, their podcast, Stuff You Should Know. So I decided to give it a listen. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I like your reference on a recent classic episode about the hybrid airship, which I've had the pleasure to see many times.
Huh?
It is super janky. So nice one there. And you said, look, I have always lived the past few years outside of my hometown, Atlanta, but I always get joy hearing the references that Stuff You Should Know and you all make. I wish I could take you up on your coffee offer, But every time that I go home with my wife, she would be pretty mad if I said I wanted to go to Starbucks with some podcasters.
Starbucks? Hell no. Take you to Hodgepodge or something. No, that's not around. Oppo, maybe? We like
yeah, caffeine and octane. Wait, that's a car show. Anyway,
Perk is also good.
Perk is great. East Pole. We got a proliferation of awesome coffee shops. Anyway, you continue, Em, and you say, as someone who has worked on some cool things, I can say it's not all time travel and aliens, although they tend to be nice but misunderstood folks. Parentheses, joking, question mark, and parentheses.
What?
Yeah. Well,
what do you mean, Mac?
Yeah, that question mark's doing a lot of work. You see, also, I wanted to add that I liked your full moon episode, but you overlooked that there are 2 tides a day. Still gravity related, but it's because the moon doesn't just orbit the Earth. The Earth also orbits the moon. Simplifying. If the moon exists, since we are more massive, the center of this gravitational relationship is pretty close to us, but still causes some weird tidal effects. Keep doing what you are doing, and if you ever have any aerospace questions, feel free to ask. I will tell you what I am allowed. I doubt you will use any of this on your show, but if you do, just call me Mac. So Incorrect. We're calling you Mac, we're calling you M, and we are putting you to the question, as my old friends at the Inquisition like to say. Is there any suppressed technology, Mac? By which we mean, is there anything currently viable or in the experimental phase, midway from the drawing board to a prototype of which the public is unaware?
Yes, specifically, anything that you helped create in Skunkworks that can go from the air into the ocean and hang around in there
2.5
and then come back out and then fly around some more.
Any kind of perhaps transmedium object, anything in space that starts with an X and goes to a dash, maybe with a 3 after the dash.
Yeah, and then like a 6 or a 7, like 6, 7, I'm not sure, one of those.
Really? Still?
You're doing 6s and 7s, bro?
Dude.
South Park did it. So did every middle school. Yeah. We do want to know, seriously though, Mac, if we were just buddies hanging out at a coffee shop and there's no one in the shop, and get one last order before it closes, and we ask you, just lean in, tell us a secret. What would you say?
I just farted.
And it smells flat white, please.
Also, I liked your weird double blink there, Noel. We've got time for one more. We're going to go directly to Less Radioactive Rusty. This is a tease for an episode.
Great name.
Yeah, not to be confused with more radioactive Rusty or regular radioactive
Fully
Rusty.
irradiated Rusty, yeah.
This is cool. This is a series of correspondences. So, LRR, if we may be familiar with you, you say, hey guys, your recent classic on Tatum's salt test reminded me of something I've been meaning to write in about, the Hunters Point Naval Shipyard and the, ironically named, Treasure Island in San Francisco Bay, when the Navy believed they could scrub away radiation from ships used in nuclear tests. Hunters Point in southeast San Francisco was one of those sites. Across the bay, Treasure Island was a Navy base where they simply left behind radioactive and chemical waste for decades. This part's in italics, gents. Both sites are now used for low-income housing, with Hunters Point being one of just 2 majority black neighborhoods in the city. There is fantastic reporting on Hunters Point by reporter Chris Roberts, spanning a decade, but there is far less on Treasure Island. I believe these residents deserve better, and I would love to see stuff they don't want you to know. Give them some attention. And then, but wait, as Billy Mays was wont to say, there's more. Less Radioactive Rusty, you wrote back to us and you said, hello again. This just went from listener mail to strange news. The day after I emailed you, the city of San Francisco learned that 1 year ago, the Navy found elevated airborne plutonium levels at Hunters Point, and they did not inform the city's health department until just last week.
Jesus Christ.
I know, right? And this is coming to us, by the way, from October of 2025. Airborne plutonium, guys.
That's a new one.
Yeah, not to profile the periodic table, but I don't like it.
That's a new addition to the list of plagues.
Right. It was found above a parcel in the Hunters Point shipyard, and this has been a super fun site since time immemorial. Our buddy here, LRR, links us to a report from October 30th, 2025, on Mission Local by journalist Zhu Ji Zhao and Marina Newman. And I've got to say, feels like an episode. This is one of our best ways to find episodes, our weekly listener mail. I had never heard, like I had vaguely heard of shenanigans in the Bay, of course, given the long-time military presence. But airborne plutonium was a new one to me, you guys.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
Kinda not glad that I have heard of it.
Yeah. Let us keep doing our little podcast. What do we say? Is this an episode in the future before we give too many details?
I would say so. Y'all are the best.
Yes. Thank you all so much. We're going to keep this a little bit brief because, spoiler, right after this, we're all going to vote in Atlanta's election. Right? Are we all going to vote?
Yeah, I got that thing in the mail from the Center for whatever voting snooping, and it says, hey, all of your neighbors that we've redacted their names voted in all of these elections, and then it had my name, and guess what? I voted in all of them because I likes to vote.
Yeah, I love the mechanisms of democracy. Now, of course, here in our fair metropolis, one can often write in a candidate. So we'd like to officially put Stuff They Don't Want You to Know's endorsement behind Donnie LaBoy. That is spelled D-O-N-N-I-E space L-A-B-O-Y. Donnie LaBoy. He's your number one comptroller. He's your number one city councilman. He's your number one, what's another title?
Bagman.
No, you're the bagman. I write you in.
I mean,
there
can be more. It's not Highlander rules, but thank you, Ben. I do appreciate you defending my position. What's another good one?
Dance czar.
There you go. Any kind of czar.
Yeah. Czar is a stone chair, though. Comptroller is good.
He's our Comptroller Bega. Hey.
Comptroller Bega, we got there. And we are going to pause for a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with more messages from you.
And we've returned. Guys, before we jump to the phone lines, I'm gonna push a product, and we're not sponsored by them, but I need you and everybody to know about it. It's this stuff called Seed Ranch Thai Curry Hot Sauce. Guys, it is a hot sauce that is the taste of Thai green curry.
That's the best.
You can add that flavor to everything. It is incredible. Find it wherever you can. I bought way too many bottles.
Is this a Hot Ones sitch?
It was on Hot Ones, I believe, at one point.
Okay. I feel like I've heard of it. That does sound delightful.
I love
a green curry.
I just didn't know it was going to be that good. So that is all. Okay. Let's jump to the phone lines now. We are going to hear a strange encounter that friend of the show, Headmaster, had. To everyone listening, anyone can call in at any time to the voicemail system, and Headmaster and Noah have been calling in a whole bunch. Specifically, Headmaster has been calling us while he's doing a bunch of work in Northeast British Columbia, Canada. We're going to not say exactly what he's been doing. It's a little sensitive, but Headmaster has been doing lots of work up there, and he's finally on his way back. And on his little road trip, about 3 hours in, he had this experience and called us while it was happening. So this is a call from the place as it's occurring. So we're going to jump to Headmaster's message and hear what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's Headmaster. I'm on my way back from, and I'm in Wanawanan, I think it's called. I'm not exactly sure. I was just stopping in for gas. I look like I'm maybe from out of town, you know. As I'm filling up gas, this guy on an ATV comes in, some white dude. He's coming in on an ATV, gets off, goes inside the gas station. He comes back outside, and then as he's getting on his ATV, he asks me, do I believe in God? I'm like, what? And then he turns on his ATV and then and then pulls up alongside my truck and asks me again while I'm gassing up, do I believe in God? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, Jesus is coming soon, brother. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, I'm just letting you know that Jesus is coming soon. And he drove off. And I wouldn't really think anything of it, man. Like, I wouldn't think anything of it. And I think I failed this initiation, by the way. But, you know, like, you guys need to know, like, there's a serious white nationalist problem going on here in Canada. Big problem, actually. And if you want to know more about it, look at Rachel Gilmore. She's a Canadian journalist that's actually reporting a lot about it. And I'm just, you know, I'm kind of concerned with the way that both of our economies are going and stuff right now. I'm just really, really concerned. You know, like, I'm fine, by the way. I'm going to make it back. My truck is okay. Everything is okay. I hope I never run into this guy again. But, like, I just wanted to let you guys know that this was a really weird encounter. It really rubbed me the wrong way. Stay safe, and ciao for now.
Well, there we go. So that's kind of let's say an unsettling thing to happen, right? Anytime somebody walks up to you and asks you about your religious beliefs, specifically if you believe in God, and then lets you know that a deity is going to be returning sometime soon. But I guess it depends on tone, right?
Like, I mean, is there a positive version of that tone? Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I guess I always just find it sinister when people that's a line to me. That is such a personal line to cross, and that you would even do that to somebody indicates that you're willing to perhaps take it a little further.
I think perhaps is the right way to think about that, because I know I've known some people in my life, and I think I may have actually been in a place in my life where I would want to do that kind of thing because it was told to me by somebody in a church that you need to spread the word, right? Or you need to evangelize a little bit. You need to tell people just with a couple of small things, just let them know about your faith and try and bring them in.
You're not wrong, man. I'm sorry. I may be a little heavy-handed about that. I think I just have a bit of a sore spot just because of my particular history and just maybe encounters like that I've had. But there are good-hearted missionary types and folks that just want to help people out there. I think it might be a little, misinformed perhaps, or what's the word? Misplaced. But if that's what you think is earning you your place in heaven or whatever, I mean, far be it for me to tell you not to tell people about something that you're excited about. But I just feel like the tone is everything.
Yes.
And oftentimes there is an inherent, almost threatening tone where it's like, if you don't do this or hear me, then you're going to the bad place.
Yeah. Agreed. And we've also got those lenses on each of our eyes and ears, right? So the way we perceive somebody and then what they say might affect like what we think they're saying, right? We might imply or put a tone on something just because of what we're thinking.
And I'm guilty of that. No, you nailed it, dude. You nailed it.
But at the same time, we do know that there appears to be a rising movement in some of these nationalist movements, specifically kind of race-based nationalism movements that are occurring both here in the United States and in Canada and many other places across the world. We know this is a thing. We've made a couple episodes about specifics in these genres, and this is the kind of thing that's been happening for, good Lord, centuries, I would say. In
source of the most bloodshed throughout history is those religious divides. And it does feel like now maybe more than ever it's being weaponized in a bit of a, like, setting the groundwork for a holy war of some kind, on the Christianity side. More than the tone is a little more, what's the word? Adversarial, othering than maybe I've ever seen it, rhetoric-wise.
Yes. And that goes from everything, right, to the stuff we talked about in Japan and Spain and a bunch of other countries where there's a thing where it's, if you are not exactly like us, we who declare these things, then you are not one of us and you are not welcome here, according to us. That is a very common thing. So it's at least something to put on our radar. I don't know much at all about this Canadian journalist, Rachel Gilmore, who at least for a time was based in Montreal. But there seems to be a lot of reporting about her and by her. So that's something for us to look into. Just not sure what it is yet. But there you go. Anything else? Again, we didn't maybe fully cover this, Headmaster, but anything else you want to say, just go ahead and call back in, as always. But thank you for sharing that story. Definitely was unsettling. Reminds me a bit of this story, Ben, you wrote one time for, I don't think it was, no, it was for 13 Days of Halloween. It involved a gas station and a guy that danced. You remember this?
Vividly.
It's really good. Check out 13 Days of Halloween season 1, I think.
Hey, executive produced by Matt Fred.
Hey, well, there's a story in there about a gas station that's worth your time. All right, well, there we go. Let's jump to another message from, guys, we got a message from the Condor.
Ooh.
Let's hear this.
You can call me the Condor. I'm a high-ranking official, and I want to share some shocking information with you and your listeners. Project Serpo is real. You ever heard of it? If not, give that thing a Goog. In 1996, we sent 6 brave men and women to a planet beyond your wildest imagination. In return, we got 6 alien brats that have been terrorizing Dulce Bay out here in New Mexico ever since. Not a fair trade, if you ask me. Those astronauts liked their new dig so much they never came back. Meanwhile, we've been trying to contact Serpo using the strongest SETI satellites for years, but no one will come and pick these little punks up. Every day they put jelly beans in the coffee grinder, and I'm sick of it. I just wanted to call and gripe. Everyone around here is tired of listening to me. Love the show. You can use my name and message on the air. Who cares anymore?
Oh, man, that's dark.
Is that
right
a
at the
Dylan
end.
character?
Classic.
It sounds like
Sounds
a
like
Dylan,
right?
y'all.
Classic Condor. Thank you for your service.
Dylan,
No, I had to step away to help a kid with a boo-boo, but what's this about jelly beans in the coffee grinder? Because that
It's
seems
a
like the
thing
most
you're not
egregious
supposed to
sin.
do.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
this is Joey Beans or somebody. Dylan, seriously, Dylan, are you the Condor?
I cannot say.
This is not a legal inquiry. My client is not required to respond. Tennessee, you do not have to respond.
Bro, the call is coming from inside the podcast. That's what I'm saying.
Well, look, whoever the Condor is, this retired military personnel had a message for us about something very, very interesting. No matter how silly the actual message is or serious, we're not sure. Project Serpo, guys, is a thing in the conspiraverse. Okay?
Yep.
It is a largely considered debunked thing, but it is a thing. So let's go ahead and look it up and talk about it just for a moment. You can head on over to the website, Serpo, SERPO.org. And if you choose to do so, you will find out that there's a Serpo Conference on Top Secret program. And it says, welcome to our conference on the Top Secret Exchange Program of 12 U.S. military personnel to Serpo, planet Zeta Reticuli, between 1965 and 1978. Guys, it's got a whole thing about an April conference from April 26th to the 28th. There's a place on Burton Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee, where I guess this conference is going to happen. There's a huge pull-down menu for all the different things happening on each day, on the first, second, and third day of this conference. There's even a phone number associated with this website and associated with whatever this is. We're not going to say the phone number on here, but you can find it at serpo.org, and you can dig a little deeper yourself. If you do a Goog, just a quick little Goog, as Condor asks us to do, and you look up Serpo Project Serpo, you will find stuff on Wikipedia that has a lot of information on here about a certain website where some people went on and made some anonymous posts about this thing. And then somebody you might recognize, Richard Doty. Do you guys remember this dude, Richard Doty?
No.
He was a counterintelligence officer, I think is officially what we would call this guy.
That's correct.
He worked directly with the USAF Office of Special Investigations, and he was kind of known as somebody who would go through and foment disinformation on purpose within the UFO UAP community back in the day. Would basically do some attaboys with somebody saying something kind of crazy, and then would kind of give credence to those things as a smokescreen to perhaps the real stuff happening with Mac over.
While also importantly not promising anything concrete.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, and big thanks to Tennessee for shouting out season 2 of Strange Arrivals.
Oh,
which is all about Doty.
Oh, yeah, no, that's very true. Yes. I think the documentary is titled Mirage Men. That's how we learned about Doty for the first time, about what was going on with him. Very fascinating stuff. God, who's the other guy? Paul Benowitz. I think there's so many folks that are they're huge figures in that sphere. Anyway, you can look up all this stuff about the alleged secret program where these, I guess aliens got left behind, the 6 aliens on the base wreaking havoc. Is that right, Condor? Oh, he didn't respond. Okay.
That is correct. Sorry, I'm fixing the coffee machine.
Oh, good stuff. Well, go on your own Serpo hunt. Maybe we could do an episode on it. I don't know if it's worth it. Maybe it's a rabbit hole worth going down, though, because there were some people that came forward that really, truly believed that this was going down. It was a real program, that there was some kind of communication between Zeta Reticuli and the United States government. Pretty fun stuff. I got one last one, guys. I don't know if we have time. We can do a quick one. One quick message here from Phlounder. This one's a little more serious. Let's just see what Phlounder has to say.
Phlounder, like Ariel's little buddy, little running pal?
Exactly.
Spelled with a PH.
Perhaps also then a fan of the band Fish.
Let's find out.
Hello, gentlemen. Just listening to the episode on Japan and their far-right movement and politically. I believe it was Noel asked, who defines what is right and what is left? And I'm going to pose the question, who defines what is center? There were many interesting parallels between what's going on in Japan and what's going on here in America. I'm going to draw a parallel to Die Hard 2. In Die Hard 2, the terrorists didn't have to crash the plane. They just had to recalibrate where ground level was, and the plane crashed itself. If an actor were to recalibrate where center is, politically speaking, will our political plane crash itself? Appreciate you guys. Please feel free to use my message on the air.
Boom. What a question, Phlounder.
Mm-hmm. Does feel that, the political plane is kind of being built in mid-flight, so I would not put a crash past it.
Oh, yeah. So to answer that, who defines what is center? I would say, well, this is just me and being quite a bit uninformed here, but I imagine center is defined by the extreme edges, right? Because you've got one extreme side versus another extreme side, and somewhere in the middle is the center. But I guess you could be going more extreme in one direction than the other, right? So then center is now completely recalibrated, and that's just by the nature of the discussion that you're having on the which side you could take.
And what happens when the center cannot hold? That's when we get a crash.
Hey, what do you think, Ben?
Oh, yes, Phlounder, thank you. Longtime conspiracy realist. We love it when you write to us or call. There's this concept that I think you'll be familiar with, even if you haven't heard the specific term. It's something we're all familiar with. It's the concept called the Overton window, OVRTON window. And it's the idea of what is considered proper or centrist or allowable discourse in the mainstream. When you hear people, and shout out to our pal Miles Gray, who talks about this at length from his previous life, the Overton window is a good rubric or perspective to evaluate kind of what you were saying there earlier, Matt, centrism being defined by what is itself defined as extreme. So one thing a lot of analysts spend a lot of time on is figuring out how an Overton window can be defined or where it shifts. For a brutal, embracing historical example of this, consider the 3/5 compromise in United States history, where the Overton window on the acceptability or the villainy of chattel slavery came up for intense debate, and then people were slowly moving what was considered acceptable or not acceptable. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of a precedent that I think you're asking us about here, Phlounder. Like, who defines the center? The easy way to look at that is to look at what we'll call the Overton window. And as we said in our episode, Japan's rise of a far right signals a shift of the Overton window.
That makes sense. The Overton window thing is what I was searching for. Thank you, Ben. Well, yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. It just feels nowadays like there is no group in the United States specifically that represents that thing. That right. is, let's try and give everybody this thing that they want to an extent, but everybody's got to come to the table and compromise.
Well, I mean, it's so polarized that I just don't think that would really even gain that much traction. It wouldn't even make that much noise. Being completely center is almost like anomalous, or it just doesn't really play into the way the system works.
Centrism is similar to postmodernism. It's often defined by what it is, in fact, not. And that is a clever rhetorical device. But to the lovely point you made there, Matt, there's this missing aspect of discourse. There's not a reasonable compromise or a parliamentary procedural kind of mechanism, right? The game of U.S. politics, at least, is very much winner take all, very Highlander. Wherein, if you look at European democracies or other democracies, including Japan's, people get together, different parties get together, and they make compromises, and they work toward what they see as a greater good, which does shift the Overton window. But it goes back to something we talked about many years ago, the two-party system here in the U.S. Like, why do both of those parties, the Democrats and Republicans, never cooperate on anything except for squashing a third party? Because they will double dragon real quick on that one. Shout out Rossborough. Reluctant shout out.
Oh, yeah. Well, it makes you understand why folks who got into the political sphere that were becoming really popular, like your Bernie Sanders, or folks who were really writing on that libertarian concept, right? It's more about liberty than, any group or any huge dogma that we're all going to agree on and follow. It's more about the human being and liberty, right? Or it's more about everybody together as a collectivist set of needs that we can address with the funds and all this stuff. You can see why there's a desire for that, or maybe there has been. Maybe it's kind of losing steam at this point, because we've moved so far in one direction that now you have to battle the movement of that direction by pushing as hard as you can to the other side.
Sure.
But doesn't it seem like we're seeing that across the world?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's the monopolization of mass media. That's a big, big part of it. We have to remember that, look no further than the recent rise of Mamdani over in New York City. Massive public support from the people who live in New York City, and massive opprobrium from the powers that be.
I don't know how to fix it. Flounder, maybe you've got better ideas. Hey, Flounder, you got some ideas? We don't want to crash the plane. Let's recalibrate where the ground is, and the sky is where the sky is. And then we'll all be in this flight simulator together. Flying the great skies, just like Ben.
That's too kind. Yeah, big thanks to the Condor, Headmaster, Phlounder, Sarahwasme, less Radioactive Rusty. Hey, you know what? Shout out to regular Radioactive Rusty, as well as Tom NZ, and of course, Jaquamerafon. We can't wait for you to join us on our continuing adventures, folks. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to a little lighthouse in the dark. We want to hear your thoughts. Find us on email address, find us on a telephonic device, find us on the lines should thou sip thy social meds.
100%. You can find us at the handle Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist on Facebook with our Facebook group. Here's where it gets crazy. On X, FKA, Twitter, and on YouTube, where we have video content for your perusing enjoyment and education, I hope. On Instagram and TikTok, however, we're Conspiracy Stuff Show.
We have a phone number. It is 1-833-STDWYTK. When you call in, like whoever this Condor person is, Phlounder or Headmaster, do remember to keep your messages as brief as possible. 3 minutes is what we like to cap it on, and that just helps us fit them into this listener mail format. That's super helpful. Anything longer than that is just tough because we need to make kind of its own episode, and it's a whole thing. If you got awesome things to say, got comments, questions, anything, send them our way in voicemail format. Or if you've got attachments, links, a lot to say, anything, really anything, send us an email. We are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back at length. What do we mean? To find out, you'll have to join us out here in the dark. We also accept messages in midnight mirrors, crossroads, and Ouija boards. For now, conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.